Hey everybody. Okay, we're back. Another stream for Unreal CG Spectrum real-time real-time stream. And it was a bit of a late start. Hey, we got Dave here. Welcome. Hey, Nadia. Thank you, Nadia, for getting the stream ready for me. So we got a couple fun things I wanted to do today. So I was hoping that we were going to be able to get the stream rolling. And we're also going to take a look at a new model that Gabriel made for us with the flying robot that we had talked about in previous streams. But there he is. Oh, look. And I've been setting it up, getting it ready with some rigs, but I haven't actually gotten fully fleshed. I think what we're going to do is take a look at that first, and then we'll take a look at this fun advanced skeleton to Unreal control rig, which I haven't used it yet, so it's going to be fun figuring out how to make that work, and we'll be able to see how that goes. And the idea is we're going to take the character that we bring from advanced skeleton to control rig and put it in our background so that he walks by the window over here and makes it creepy, because it'll be creepy. And this, I've got to figure out how to make this background look less romantic as well, because I think 90% of the people that saw the background thought I was being romantic, which, okay, fair enough. I'm trying to be romantic. That's kind of sweet, except for the rotting food and the cobwebs back there. But you know, we got to maybe make it a little more clear going forward. So what we'll do is we're going to jump over to our background and we'll take a look at our new model and finished mesh for the project, where we're doing, basically there's a couple things happening. I'm using this mesh that Gabriel made for us for some of the content in our real-time course, but also let's take a look at it. Well, we should have taken a look at the mesh first. Let's take a look at the mesh first. All right, so here we go. So we got the model. I put on the textures. Let me hide the joints. We'll come back to the joints in a minute here. The candles are lit. Yeah, well that's I guess that's what we have to do, is we have to make some of these candles go out or something. And the fire hazard of the curtains is just to build tension, you know? That's just so that you never know. It might just burst into flames all of a sudden. Gabe says, hope it will work. Hope it works. Is this another Gabe? If the question is hope it works because nothing ever seems to work out in my streams, that might be true. I also hope everything will work out in this stream. Oh, it's a different Gabe. We got multiple Gabes here. I better stop assuming people who I think they are. All right, excellent. So that's the Gabe. Oh, okay. I got the wrong Gabes. This is great. All right, well, after that embarrassing moment, how about we take a look at this mesh and see what we can do here. So some of the issues that I did have with the mesh, just as a little bit of feedback on the fly here, was that we were bringing it from Blender to Maya. So we were having all kinds of weird conversion issues as we brought it from FBX across. So I just still don't know what the best workflow is for FBX to Maya through Blender to Maya. But we did have a lot of complications there. And some of the other issues I was having was just trying to get some of these objects to be placed so that they're symmetrical. I think symmetry was our biggest burden here. Trying to get these legs to be aiming just in the way that they were actually mirrored across so I could make the joints work easier. Took a bit of extra effort. But the mesh itself is pretty cool. We got all kinds of interesting textures. I had to shrink it down by like 6 times because it was, I don't know, it was like twice the size of humans. Which it wasn't intended to be twice the size of humans, but it would be a lot more intimidating that way. So now it's only like 64 centimeters, which should be about, you know, half, like 3 feet or something. I guess when he's standing up, it'll be about 100 centimeters or something like that. So it'll be kind of cool. And the idea is that they would be able to walk around a bit like a spider and then fly around also. And we have some prototype stuff that we've been doing already in Unreal that allowed this character to have walk cycles. I think we could be able to convert it over. But what I'm trying to do is build it up so that this is you know, part of the course content for how you can make control rig characters, and I'll be doing that throughout the week. But I just wanted to show off this is a model created by one of the students with Gabe, and Dave says the Kaiju robot. I don't know if that's a giant robot that walks around and crushes people, I guess. I don't know, I'm not picking up on that one. But this one's made by a student, and we did actually pay a little bit of money for the services, so Gabe has a little bit of experience he can put on his resume for this, and we're gonna allow for people who take the course to have access to the whole rig and stuff, and we're gonna make some animations and set it up so that it can be a usable asset for people, and maybe we'll see more animations come from students using it, which would be kind of cool. Giants, disappointed face, giants monsters. Alright, I probably must be missing something really epically awesome that I'm just not picking up on here. Oh, these do look like, oh, from Pacific Rim? Is that what the monster is called? Alright. Or is this it? Oh, alright. I do not know this, so thank you for educating me. So there we go. That's our inspiration. I have so much to learn, it's true. I do. I always do. So the other thing that I did was changed a lot was I had to sort of really start splitting up these meshes to make sure that they're very individualized, because it makes it a lot easier for me to be able to locate joints. So these have been really broken down. Maybe not these ones so much, but every time I have like a sphere like this, it's really nice to be able to have a place that I can find a center point to work with, and that way when I'm putting together the joints, which I have here hidden, I know exactly where to put them and how to get them to line up. And Gabe's already done a nice job of making sure that some of these meshes have been align nicely so that when they rotate, they're nice and perfectly symmetrical. So that's helped quite a bit. But we should be able to get these to rotate up and then rotate down and allow the character to have a really nice compact state like that, where they could be really closed in, which is pretty cool. And then we have the oh, and then also object naming was a big thing that I spent a lot of time doing. So that's another aspect of this mesh that needed some footwork. But it helped me actually recognize what I was going to do for creating the joint name convention as well. So anyway, we have a whole set of systems that we want to put together where we have two sets of blades. They both can fold down, they can come down, and the whole thing can come down and bring the blades into the body like this so that it could turn into a single piece. So it's cool. All these pieces are ready to roll. We can got a laser down here that's all ready to go. Not even sure how this works. This is a laser, and this is what, a shooter, a camera or something? I don't know. And this is, and then we got to figure it out. But anyway, we've got all these joints that are ready to be put at part of it. Not sure if I'm going to be able to do anything with this cable so easily. I was even considering maybe trying to see what happens if you turn it into cloth, and will it flex or will it just look really weird and saggy, which it probably will. So I'm not sure. Or we could just maybe do a joint here and a joint here, and then do a really long stretch of skinning between the two of them so that when it rotates it kind of works. I don't know. Don't really want to get too complicated with it. Anyway, lots of cool textures here. Red is a laser, yellow is a light. Oh, so it's just a light source. Ooh, that'll be cool. So we have a dynamic light from here. They can cast shadows. Ah, that's where you're going with that. Hey, Sarah's here. Hey, strangers, long time no see. Have had no PC for some weeks. I'm watching from my phone. Wow. Okay. Is that because your PC's broken or because you were taking a break from the PC? I think either answer could be a possibility. Anyway, I'm looking forward to rigging this. I'm looking forward to getting it set up and seeing it work. And I'll have to do it pretty quick because people are already halfway through this course. And I gotta get this ready. But I'm feeling pretty confident that it'll be ready in time. And we've got lots of fun things to learn when it comes to control rigs. So we can jump into the next state of our stream here, where we're gonna start making some stuff out of control rig. The gal says, do you teach Houdini? Do you guys teach Houdini? Yes, we have a whole course for VFX Houdini. That goes, it's a full-fledged course where you can get right deep into learning all the elements of Houdini. And surprisingly, we don't have as many enrollments in that course as we should. It's a very interesting and very important course, and we have really talented people that mentor it. And yet, for some reason, we don't get the numbers like we should for the employability that you can get coming out of that course. I mean, anybody who knows how to do Houdini is like got a job, and that's because it's hard to learn. That's why it's like that. But it's a really valuable course. And if you saw the recent teaser trailer, it's crazy. They're always like just ridiculously overwhelming. The sneak peek for Houdini 19, you watch it and you're just like, what? That's crazy. I can't believe you can do all this in CG nowadays. And it's be part of the whole entire package. So lots of really cool effects, and a lot of it's becoming faster and faster so that it's getting closer and closer to real time, which I think is part of the reason why you can come up with really good particle effects. Just that iteration time, speeding that up allows you to really start experimenting and bringing on bigger and bigger challenges without having super mega render farms to get it all figured out. I don't know enough about it to really explain too much about it, but I just know that Houdini is a fastly growing software. No doubt about it. Okay. Sarah says the PC is at the doctor's, appears to be TLOL. Oh my goodness. That's not good. That might be a hard drive fail or something. PC Doctor is rebuilding a PC using my old and new one. Oh, it's going to be a Frankenstein. Just the right season. Mike says, I'm excited to start with the Houdini course. See you next time. Ah, excellent. So Mike is already in the know of how to do this. Good stuff. Dave says, sounds like a Franken PC. Ah, Dave beat me to it. Gosh darn it. Nadia. Welcome, Mike. Nice. And both PCs are already are. Real says, I remember I saw a nice Houdini tutorial here. True? Reason... Oh, that's the reason why you subscribed. Houdini isn't hard, it's just scary at first. Alright, I like that attitude. Let's say that. Let's say it's just scary. Then you get going. That's how you deal with any problem. You just kind of just get going. And once you're started, and then you just keep going, You don't really think about, you know, worry about the final product. You just worry about the problem you're dealing with today. That's not probably the best planning advice, but sometimes it's that psychological wall you got to get over, which tends to be the biggest hurdle. Okay, so what I've got today, Sarah says her brain doesn't like Houdini. It's a psychological wall. Is a video about how to convert your advanced skeleton to a control rig, and it uses some of the newer newer settings. So I haven't tried this before, so I don't really know how well this is going to go, but I'd like to kind of figure it out on the stream, because if I run into a problem, we can find out what the problem is and then figure it out. I did watch through the whole video though, because I was a little bit concerned. This is a video brought to me by Brighton, at least brought to my awareness from him, and he was advising me that I probably should do some work preparing this before the stream, and I was like, yeah, you're right, I should, because that would be the smart and wise and intelligent thing to do. And here I am going, yeah, I watched the video, but anyway. We'll do it. We'll see what happens. Actually, I watched the video and it didn't look too bad, so I think we can do this. So here's Advanced Skeleton. I'm going to download the latest version to make sure I have whatever the current updates are about this whole control rig stuff, which I do not have probably in my version that I have. I also have recently updated Maya so that I am using the 2022.2, is it? Or oh man, I think it's 2022.2. No, or is it 4 now? I forget which one we're at. Oh yeah, 2. To help reduce some of the different bugs and stuff that might be coming out. And as I was doing this rigging project, I discovered all kinds of weird things I'm not familiar with or don't remember, so I'm not sure all these issues are resolved yet, but it's a bit of a deal to get the updated version of Maya, so you have to really kind of go out of your way sometimes to go and get that version. So just realizing that there is an update out there is sometimes the hardest part. Here's our Advanced Skeleton zip file. It's free to download. Sarah says, I know Slack doesn't work on my ancient phone, iPhone 6. Wow. That's too bad. Gotta have Slack. Where it's at. Bartoses. Art. Hey, yeah, Autodesk is company focused on sales, not development, like Alias was and Discrete in the past. Side effects or Blender. Like basically every company that's trying to be competitive, Autodesk is like on its own. But it works for a stock price. Yeah, well, what I've heard is that Autodesk is like the money they make from Maya or from anything from like these particular industries for the entertainment industry isn't anything compared to what the money they make for like Autodesk or AutoCAD and some of the more like industrial tool sets that they have. So they're also just not driven by their finances for these type of softwares, which is surprising because the software costs a lot of money, but apparently it's nothing compared to the money they make from the other side of it. Apparently Autodesk stock is doing really well. I wouldn't know, I've never checked, but I mean, they probably are because, you know, it's a tech company and they have a lot of investments. Any tech company is probably doing pretty good nowadays. I'm not going to save that so that I don't have all these modifications in there. And let's see here, what else am I doing? And skeleton, got it downloaded. Here's my zip files. I got to get this installed. Need to put these files into my documents. Under Maya. Just gonna replace these ones. It's kind of interesting how Advanced Skeleton just keeps building and growing. It's kind of cool. Like they've got kind of this ongoing progress of you know, basically being compatible with all kinds of things and dealing with all the new problems. It seems very relevant as a tool set. And then there's also Gears? M-Gear. That is also a tool set actually Autodesk is working with as an open source as part of Autodesk's tools. M-Gear is a great plugin as well that has a really cool character rigging, support for control rig, all these great things that I haven't got into yet, but also it's a little bit deeper though. It's more like for heavier production cycles, and this Advanced Skeleton has a little bit less of that intimidation factor of getting into it from what I can tell. Okay, I've got that one in there. Now let me just see, I want to see if there's these install mel and some of these files. I'll just make sure that those are in there as well in case there's something new. Paste that here, replace them. And when you get into, so now I'm gonna, after I've done that, I'm gonna open up Maya so that it registers these plugins within the scripts folder. They got this new splash screen, which maybe that's not interesting, but and let's see here, do I have anything? NG skin school, skin tools, custom. There they are. All right, open it up. Here's our Advanced Skeleton tools for creating stuff. I found out in the video that at the very bottom there's demos. Check online for demo updates. Well, look at this, you can get all these different rigs. Guess I'll just get all of them. Wow, it just goes into this whole downloading interface cool stuff. I've never done this yet. I didn't even know you could download demos from here. But this is where they're getting some of the, like the Conan rig from the tutorial video. Wherever that went. What did I do with that? Can't click anything. There's all these windows popping up. This Conan character here, so you can just download it directly from this updates, and it saves you from having to look for it anywhere. And you know, there's a tuna, and a skateboard, and a monster truck. So any of these rigs would be definitely, I'm pretty confident will be compatible with supporting getting them working in control rig on the Unreal. Alright, so here they are. I'm going to start off really boring. I'm just going to do the Conan character. And then we're going to get and try to find something that fits better with our actual environment. Alright, so that just came in really easily. Yeah, it came with the textures as well. pretty sure this character is made as one of the Torog's rigs. I'm not sure if there's a credit, because that guy made most of his rigs were all made from advanced skeletons, so they must be kind of in good communication with each other. So once you've got your object imported, without having to mess with it too much, in the video he was talking about how you can take some of these, if you wanted it to be FK in the control rig, then you need to make sure it's set to FK, or else it will be, it's basically the support it has in the control rig doesn't allow you to switch between IK and FK. So whatever you have set up in this mode is the way it's going to permanently set it for your control rig, which I think this is fine. We've got FK for the arms, we've got IK for the legs, and he said that the facial rig is not going to come across. So these are things that will, you know, over time eventually become supported, but it's not a big deal for what I need right now. It's just amazing that it can even go over to Unreal if we can get this to work. So here's our control rig export and our FBX export. I think what we got to do first is export the FBX and bring that into Unreal, and then we bring the control rig in afterwards. So we're going to try and put this somewhere. Somewhere. Advanced Skeleton 2 control rig. I'll never know what that is again. Like, what the heck did I do with that folder? What's that folder called? And we're going to use this as the place where we're going to export our selection. So Conan, we'll call it skeletal mesh. Conan, and we're going to basically just export with those settings. Talks about the skinning deformations, which she said is fine, and these things are fine. So let's go and make a new project. So in his video, he set it up in Unreal 5, but right at the very end, he was like, oh, in Unreal 4, you can go into this place for the settings. So I'm going to do it in Unreal 4 because that's a much more practical workflow for me. But it does, I mean, honestly, if it works in Unreal 4, it's going to work in Unreal 5, plus Unreal 5 has some extra bonus stuff, like full body IK, which I think is only in Unreal 5. So we're going to launch a new Unreal Engine, and we're going to create a new project. Alright, we go to games. What are we doing? We want to probably do a blank project. We don't need any sort of anything else. Actually, coming back to this, let's do a film one. We'll do a blank film one. Sure. No starter content, ray trace disabled. Hopefully I don't regret making this film particular type. And I gotta go back to that folder that we had, which was AS2CR. Advanced skeleton. Rigs. I don't know, I'm trying to think of let's just do the same thing. Control rig. And we'll see where that goes. What I was trying to do was hoping that I could get a project that has more of the day-night system set up, so for nicer renders and nicer imagery. I'm really not sure what the differences are actually between a game project and a film project. Based on the fact that I have 900 shaders to compile just to open this project, makes me think that it's probably a ray trace defaulted project. I'm hoping won't matter too much. Although the time it's going to take to open this project might be a little intimidating. Well, let's click on Export Control Rig while we're here. There's these little question marks in all of these, which makes Advanced Skeleton really nice because it's super easy and friendly to work with. It gives you a little help about what to do. So what we're doing is creating a Python script that will convert how to build this control rig onto how to build this control rig. So I'm assuming that it's pulling all the data of how this control rig exists in Maya for this particular character and making a very custom and unique Python file so that it can reproduce it as best it can in the control rig. So this is the cool part of the whole thing that we're doing right now. Importing a skeletal mesh isn't such a big deal, but making this Python script convert is pretty neat, and it's probably the future of lots of different solutions in the future, where we'll have Python scripts that do all sorts of interesting auto rigs for us. Sarah says, this is why I've been avoiding watching anything with Unreal. It's so frustrating not to be able to use Unreal. But you can still watch Unreal stuff and just say, oh, it's not my fault I can't open them. There's a lot of stuff happening these days with Unreal. There was even an email today that was advertising all kinds of crazy stuff. Let's see if I can jump over to this email while I'm waiting for my project to infinitely open, because I really regret why I decided to do that today. Alright, so we have this email that came in today about new courses from the Unreal Online Learning. One of them is talking about how to get started with your Paper 2D project, which is interesting that they put that on there because from what I've been hearing, the 2D Paper plugin has always been kind of left in the dust for priorities, and it's hard to really get a complete project with it without having to really hardwire a lot of things on your own. So the fact that they have a tutorial system for it, which may or may not be new, I'm not sure, but that's kind of cool. It means that they're still trying to support it and the workflow is still there. And this is kind of a cool little project that looks like they got going on here. So that, if I had time, I'd be taking a look at that more often. Here's live link for performance capture, which we've been doing a little bit of that in some of our streams, but not so much for live capturing body captures, but for using Maya live linking. Here's animation for virtual production, which is like, whoa, what's this all about? So this one's pretty neat. I'll have to take a look at. Ray trace cinematic lighting for interiors. Obviously that's pretty useful for getting your lighting to look really good for virtual production as well. Let me click on this one. I'm curious to see where this takes us right now. Oh, what do we got here? Eddie! Eddie! My friend, you got this. Thanks for cheering me up with my dreams. No problem, Eddie. I'm hoping that it's I'm glad to hear that it's not a discouraging conversation. We're going positive here. Great. Sorry, Eddie, I'm not really remembering. What do we got here? What's the backstory again? Refresh me again. Oh my goodness, there's 2,000 shaders to compile. Wow. This is definitely a ray trace project. I should almost just create a new one. And just be like, well, that one never worked out. You were in another stream. I remember another Eddie in another stream, and I remember we probably had a really good thing. I just don't remember what it was. Just because, out of context, I don't have much to work with here. And plus my memory is always terrible, so forgive me in advance for being really blatantly obvious with my forgetfulness. So this is 1 hour and 6 minutes course about intermediate on how to modify existing animation clips to create original keyframe character animation on film. You learn the process start to finish, retargeting animation from one character to another, blending more accurately between pre-existing animation clips, sequence or match bone motion. Oh, and 4.26. More robust component. This is pretty cool. This is all the stuff that is really useful. So excellent. When did that come out? Does it even say the date? Release date. Ah, it just came out. That was literally just this month. So that's an awesome new piece there for sure to check out. In fact, I will also be checking it out to see what it's about. So there you go. Lots of great stuff coming out all the time from Unreal. Sarah, I had my first rejection from Weta. Oh, sorry, Sarah. About a dozen more and they may hire me. Ah, see there you go. Don't give up. Just gotta keep going. Apology if I write nonsense. I speak Spanish, and although I'm learning English, I am still a child. I am 15. You're doing good. No worries, Eddie. Alright, here we go. We're about to get our project open. I think so. 92%. Here it comes. Alright. We are going to have a very fancy, non-interesting project here. So we're going to import our Conan character. And let's see right here under the main one. This should be our skeletal mesh that we're bringing in as all the elements for being able to bring the joints in and the mesh, but not the animation rig. And it comes with all the textures, so that must have been set up in a way that the FBX had all the textures nicely linked in a blin. So if you ever bring in a FBX and you find that the textures are not coming through or they're not hooked up, it's probably because you're using a more advanced material. A blin or a Fong or one of these old Lamberts and stuff, those type of materials, they are supported by FBX. But when you look at the newer, anything that's Arnold renders, any kind of physically based renders materials, they are not supported by FBX, so they'll come in as broken and you'll have to manually wire in all the textures yourself. But if you do use a Fong or something or a blin, then you can import it directly, and if you do it right, you'll be able to get the textures in right away. Sarah says, they encouraged me to keep applying, so I'm happy with that for my first application. There you go. Yeah, that's great. I'm glad that they got back to you. Better than them just like ghosting your contact. Yeah, you just gotta use that as your benchmark. You get past that, and then you just keep going. And you obviously try for other studios. You know, Weta is kind of sometimes it's a stepping stone to get to that kind of level. So it can't necessarily be the first job you're going to get, but it can be maybe multiple steps to get to that point. Or you get lucky and you get in the right place at the right time and you get hired. And then you really get overwhelmed because then you're just like in the middle of absolute chaos. Okay, so the next step, we go back to Maya, and we're going to import that, we haven't even exported it. We're going to export the control rig export, which is the Python file. We're going to put that right into the same folder as we put the FBX export. This is going to be a PY file. I'm actually kind of curious to see what's inside of these files. Ugh. Apparently I have to find this folder again. Okay, so there's our py file. There's the fbx file. Let's go back to this. So this is the part that is important to realize. If you right click, you're supposed to be able to build a control rig, but there is no option. It's because the plugin's not in. Plugins are never installed by default for these particular types of things. So it's your job to go and manually import, get them running so that you can get the settings you're looking for. So one thing we're going to be doing is control rig. And then the other one that we're looking for is Python. Oh, Python's already working. That's cool. All right, so we just needed the control rig plugin to be loaded up. So we'll restart our project. Please tell me you don't have to do 2,000 shader compiles for this stupid project. All right, and then we should be able to take this. Hey Riz, you're back. Welcome. How's it going? You get your animation finished? See here. Take this. Oh yeah, control rig. So there's create control rig here. Pretty sure this is the next step where we build a control rig. It's just basically when you build it from that skeletal mesh, it's going to create the skeletal mesh, or it's going to create the control rig with that skeletal mesh. And then what we have to do, which is the part I'm a little bit less sure how to do right now, but there's an option up here to execute a Python script, which option wouldn't be here if we didn't have the plugin installed. So we're going to try and execute the Python script that we have created from the export. I'm not sure if this is just going to work or what, so we're just going to run it, see what happens here. No, it didn't just work, did it? It has to be like fancier than that. If I have it selected, John, hey, Riz, almost we're adding music. That's a cool phase to be at, adding music. Oh, everything's frozen right now, so maybe my script is working this time. I don't know, or I've broken everything. How's it going, Sean? In that weird state of, is it processing or is it broken? I'm really curious, so let's go see what this Python file looks like. I'm gonna edit with my notepad file, bring it over. So this is an automatically generated Python script specific to that particular character, or at least I'm pretty sure that's how this works. Asset names, you're importing Unreal and Re, which is, I don't know what RE is for. Oh, we've got a couple exceptions that we can pull up there. Add controls. Wow, so this is like a gold mine if you're a tech artist and you're looking for how to do your own automatic build of a control rig, because it's giving you all the secret commands. They're not secret, but you know, a series of commands on how you would do that, and it's putting it all together so that you could just pull from different ideas and start assembling things. This is an auto-generated one though, so it would run the main function first, and the main function would be calling all these other parent, child functions. But not too bad actually. It's not as big as I thought it would be. And it's using obviously very specific names for controllers and joints and positions and sizes and scales so that it can reproduce what is in the Maya file. Alright, let's see if that actually worked. Oh, look at that. Compiled shaders are coming to an end. Let's open it up. Our control rig. Hey, look at that. It worked. All that waiting was actually processing for something useful. So that Python script just went through an operation and built all of this automatically. That's huge and crazy. We're gonna have to take a closer look at how that worked. It says, all good, how about you? I'm doing good too. Definitely busy, but having fun. I'm busy doing stuff I like doing, so that's always good. Riz says, I sang a song in an AHIF Zoom meeting. Okay. You sang a song in a Zoom meeting and you recorded that? I don't know what AHIF stands for, but all I can say is if you've ever tried to sing a song with multiple people in a Zoom meeting, you quickly realize that it's just not possible. Yeah, so I'm actually setting up, the very beginning of the stream we talked about how I'm setting up the rig for what Gabe did for the Banana Project. The character's called Midnight. I think Renata was the one that named that, which is a cool name. I'm definitely sticking with it. And we're going to use it for our course content. But it was kind of a good little project because we now have an excellent little rig to work with, and Gabe got some experience out of it, so worked out nice. Oh, Alabama Head Injury Foundation. That's right, you're the one that has the head injury. Well, I'm trying to think of what to say. I'm like, hey, well, I hope the song was good. Hopefully you got a nice, good quality recording off that. Okay, let's take a look at some of these things. We got setup event and we got forward solve. So there's two different commands that are going down this chain here. And I never really have quite understood what setup event means. But if we're getting the transform global space of the root bone and we're putting it to the control root M. What is a root M? Ah, yes, saw the model. It is cool. It's a fun character because it's got lots of flexibility and you can make it do fun things without having to be worried about like that uncanny valley that you usually get when you get characters. So I think you can really expand upon that concept and do some interesting stuff. So let's see here. Root M is your control. So this is the actual control object, and root M, root XM. And then root M is the joint. We're just pushing the transform so that what is it trying to say? The position of the bone is where the control goes. So I don't know. It just means it's on the startup. It's gonna put the control where the joint is. Here it is, root M. So I guess that's probably doing it for all of them. Oh wait, what's happening here? Right after we do it the same thing with the root XM and the left FK root M. Okay, so we have an FK root M is also a controller. A root M. Yeah, so that also gets put into the root position. And then here we got take the left ankle joint and put it where the space ankle left is and the IK length. So this must be for the IK setup. The feet, and I guess they have two different control objects. One's a spacer, so these red ones, and then the other one's the blue one. Interesting that they're putting them all both in the same spot. And then it just keeps putting everything else in the same place. You match the joint to the controller, joint to the controller. I don't know who's created the controllers pre all this construction stuff, but this is just basically position, transform, position, scale data. Or even just transform because it's coming from the joints. Riz says, I'm using iMovie to add music and sound effects in my animation. Nice. That's on a Mac. Not familiar with that, but From what I remember, it's pretty good for getting stuff done. Root XM. So this is the controller. We're sending the transform data to the transform constraint. Transform constraint of the. So now, after we've positioned the controller to, wow, we positioned the controller to the joint, and now we're saying the joint has to follow the controller. So it has, in the start, it puts it all in the right place, and during every single tick, it's now saying wherever this controller is going, that joint has to go to. Which is what usually a control rig does, so that when you do rotate stuff, the joints all follow along. So I assume that's pretty much the idea of how this is all going to work. We got the FK root M moving the root M control the joint. The IK goes through a basic IK system with no pole vector. Although I'm pretty sure there is pole vectors. These guys. So where does that come into play? I don't know. What are they called anyways? This is just pull IK leg. Space, left ankle, toes, spine, chest, spacula. Scapula. I'm like, that doesn't sound right. But I don't know what the right word is. Fingers. Where's the pole vector? Is it at the very end? What's down here? And this is for the other foot, I guess. Space, ankle, right, toes. I don't know. Doesn't say when the pole vectors got built in. I'm not sure who's controlling them. Can we find references or something? I don't know. The thing that iMovie doesn't have is save button. Really? So you can't like save your stuff, or you mean you can't choose when you want to save your stuff? Maybe you just can't save your stuff. You have to work on it on the fly at the moment. John says spectacular sounds like a brand for glasses or specular. It's my new company. Time for some specs, some specular specs. All right, I don't know what it is, but anyway, it's kind of cool to check it out. I don't know if there's anything else fun that's going on here that I haven't seen yet. Is there any like, where is it? My blueprint. Oops, not my palette. My blueprint. See if there's any variables. There's a rig graph, but there's no variables, so it's pretty basic, really. Not too bad. And yet it offers a lot of functionality, a lot of FK controls going on here. No face rigs or anything. I'm probably missing something. It's really cool, but I just don't know what it is, if there is anything else. Okay, so the next step is we're gonna try and figure out what to do with putting something in my new backdrop. So we need to come up with a character. Don't know, this character might actually work fine as the character that's the shadow in the window, because he's obviously giant and scary looking, and could create a nice scary looking shadow. So it might actually end up being a pretty good choice. But I think we should check out what else there is in the advanced skeleton, just so we know what our options are. Could have a scary skateboard go by. Might be really hard to figure that one out. Alright, let's jump back to Maya. I'll do a new scene. See what else we had in here. What is a monster truck? I think I saw this somewhere. Someone had a monster truck working. Pretty cool. How do you make it move? Ah, there we go. How does that kind of make sense? Ah, there it is. No. I feel like that needs to have the ability to do shocks. What am I missing here? Maybe that's what you're supposed to do. Although that would seem like you're crushing the people inside. Can you rotate this? Oh yeah. Yeah, maybe this is what's supposed to bounce up and down. I don't know. There's our rumbling motor. Oh, secondary action for our gas tank. Pretty cool. What else we got? Chubby. That's pretty creepy. This guy walking by your window. Especially with these gray fingernails. Wow, these are large-headed characters. Funny thing, when you're trying to animate large-headed characters, I've had a bit of experience doing that before, and they're really awkward. Like, it just feels really awkward. It works well in 2D because you just like, oh, it's just this style, and it works because you get a lot of control over the posing and stuff. But when it's a CG 3D character, it starts to look really strange. Like, you get into really awkward situations. Like, this head is way too big. It just starts to look bizarre, especially when they start like bending down and stuff, and you're like, what the heck? That is just way too big for a head. But I think it's a little harder than it seems, and you really just have to be careful about how you're presenting the character, making sure that it's quite stylized, because otherwise you get in some really awkward scenarios. Trying to fit through a doorway, and you're like, I can't fit through. Alright, what else we got? Cody. Oh, this is Cody. Look at that. We got ourselves a dog rig ready to roll for CG. For Unreal even. Man, I wonder how long these rigs have been just sitting here this whole time, and I just never knew that. Okay, there you go. There's a creepy character. Has that got textures? It does have textures. It's got like a skull helmet thing going on. There's no... I was kind of hoping the character would have red eyes, because it's going to be really dark and shadowy, so... I guess you can come up with something else that might light up. Hey, it's this guy. Max. Monster truck. Olean. Wow. Huh. Seems heavy on the facial rig. Good. Alright, let's see what the skateboard looks like. I had quite a few students actually make well, at least one student make a skateboard for our walk cycles. And so we went through the process of setting up a manual rig for it. And it worked out. It was fine. But there is a fair bit to a skateboard. Especially when you're trying to make it like work with a character and stuff. And who drives the motion. But yeah, you have to account for the fact that the board can technically rotate. In fact, I don't know how it works right now. How do you get this character to be able to pivot without having the wheels go through the ground? I don't know. Wait, what's this controller? I don't know what that is. Translate, rotate, scale? What's that for? But yeah, if you wanted to attach the feet to it so the feet control this, that doesn't work. You don't want that. You want this to be on the ground like this all the time. I don't know what's going on here. Unless there's some sort of sub-controls that need to be turned on. I don't see any special... Oh, leg lock. Let's turn that on. Ugh, that's too bad. Thought that was gonna work. What does that even mean? Leg lock. Anyways. Snook. Oh, it's a fish. There's a tuna after this. Oh, interesting. I wonder if this has like stretchy, stiff, follow, volume. This is one of those situations where you have like spent all day working animating something and then you find out, oh look, there's a controller that does everything. You're like, shoot, wish I knew about that before. Fixed orient. Every animation ever, says Sean. It's true. Man, a number of times that has happened, especially when it happens in production and like you're being paid by the hour and you're like going and going and as fast as you can. And then you get to the end of the day and you're like, someone goes, what'd you do that for? It's just as a control. And you're like, oh, what? I didn't. But how do you know to ask? How do you know that if you don't know it exists? That's why it's good to have somebody always there watching what you're doing. It's good to have help all the time. Alright, let's see how this compares to the tuna. This is not what I thought was going to be a tuna. I wonder if this is supposed to be snook and the other one's supposed to be tuna. I don't know. Alright, well, based on what I can see here, there's only one character that really is supposed to be at least potentially scary. So let's see again what we got here. We'll get the textures on. I mean, we definitely can't just do like a Charlie Brown sized character head walking by. That's just gonna look goofy. It would be cool if somehow this was like more than just a shadow, but if we put him in there and then we find out what it's like, maybe we'll find out that it's not so crazy. So I'm going to export this out and we're going to start making this happen here. Now this time I'm going to put it in a different project. What was the other one called that I used? And you give me 1 week and I can't remember anything. Where did I put it? Asset library or something? Spooky room, there it is. Really gotta keep things more organized. This is an FBX, so I'm just gonna make a new source folder so that I can make some adjustments if I need to, I guess. And this character is called Creature. And it's going to be the skeletal mesh. So we'll export that out. Maybe I'll save the Maya file as well. Okay, now I'm gonna close this. We're gonna jump back to open up the Spooky Room project. Alright. We gotta change the maps and modes, make sure that dining room example opens first. There it is. Suddenly having this thought that there's no map, or not level, sorry. Level sequence. We have cinematic. Ah, it's right in the root. Edit movie pipeline queue. Okay. That's for my rendering pipeline. Oh yeah, I think I saved the settings. Anyways. Just getting these. Oh yeah, this is the movie demo sequence that came with the project. Alright, so here's our cinematics. We got two of them. We got sequence backdrop, which is just the camera cut. We're missing backdrop camera, character, pillow. Why are we missing it? Isn't it just these guys over here? All right. That's the candle test. Oh, I'm a little confused as to why this isn't here. Is it possible that I didn't save the map? Does that mean I have to recreate stuff? Oh wait, we got dining room example and we got backdrop as our map, as a map. That's what it was. I made a second map so I could mess with the environment a little bit. Alright, so back to project settings. We're gonna change this so that it says the right map. It's backdrop. Alright, confusion averted. So now we're gonna go to, okay, we have backdrop open. We're gonna open up the backdrop sequence. Now we can see what's going on here. Now we got our camera cut angle. All right, so we'll turn that off and we'll jump over here to the outdoors where we have our creepy windows. And we gotta bring in our characters. So we're going to create a new folder called Creature. And we're going to import the FBX. This is in the content, or sorry, the source. And let all the default settings work. Skeletal mesh, there he is. Ooh, it feels a little tiny, but probably not tiny. Okay. So, save all that. We gotta get a control rig for this character, but control rig, again, isn't all loaded up in this project, so we're gonna go back, make sure control rig is, and we're also gonna make sure Python is. Python always is. It's always loaded. That's pretty good. So I've got, what, like 30 minutes? And I still gotta animate this guy. So it's gonna be busy, but I think we can do this. Okay, so here's our skeletal mesh. Now that we've got the plugin manager, or the plugin loaded up, we can say build control rig, which gives us the skeletal mesh inside of the control rig, but we can't run, no, we have to run a Python script, but we have to export the Python script still from the user for this particular user. So control rig export, where do you want this custom Python script to be put? Spooky room, source, creature, save. Now I can just, looks like I have to have the control rig selected first, and then I run execute Python script. And then I pick the creature Python file, and I just let it kick for a while as it's building this control rig through Python. See, the thing with Python, at least this is true for Python 2. I don't know, maybe Python 3 is different, but it's only single threaded, so it tends to run a little bit slower than, like, it's not multi-thread processing, so it's usually quite a bit slower. And I know when you're making scripts in Maya, for example, you're getting a limit on your processing speed compared to some of the plugins and other operations you can do in Maya. But if you're just doing your own script, sometimes you'll find that the loading time is unnecessary, especially if you have like a hugely hyper thread ripper type of processor. It's like you're only going to be using one of those threads. It's actually one of my main reasons why I bought a CPU that's an Intel, because they just give you like 8 cores, but at least those cores run at a pretty high frequency. So you can get, you know, potentially 5 gigahertz speed on that one core. But if what you're worried about is rendering, then you're not gaining any of that advantage, because you can do better with lots of cores. Alright, so there's our skeletal mesh. It just finished loading, and we have our control rig, which looks almost there. Yeah, it does look like it's there. Alright, this is good. Let's just double check. Yeah, arms are working. Legs are working. Got our knees. Script looks pretty similar. Who's the last one's pinky toe. John asks, do games utilize all 8 cores? Yeah, I think they do. I mean, most things try to utilize all the cores if they can. Especially when you're dealing with, I want the most capacity that I can for my performance. It's a lot more complicated to program, but it obviously is exponentially more useful. I know when you're using Unreal Engine, they really try to utilize the cores for like shader compiling and that kind of thing, or if you're, you know, baking your lighting, and you'll just see in your task manager or whatever, your resource monitor, you'll be getting like all the cores will be just totally maxed out when you're processing it, which is great. It means that you're using your entire computer. So, but there's also older games and older programs or anything that's like, you know, not really prioritizing that feature. You'll notice that only 25% or whatever of your computer is being utilized, even though it's waiting for it to load. It's just because it's only running on the single core. Okay, so we're gonna bring this guy in. Do this. Take the control rig specifically, that's important. Maybe I'll just rename this for a sec here. And we're gonna bring it right in. And that's gonna create a sequencer file for us. He is tiny. I wasn't wrong. I was worried he would just be a tiny little guy, just because of the speed I was rotating objects. I'm like, this doesn't seem like he's full-sized. Maybe he's just supposed to be a little guy. Creature! He's just a little creature. Sean says, yeah, it makes sense, especially modern games nowadays. It totally does. They're always trying to take every inch of capacity that they can. Oh yeah, Simon, what do you think about Windows 11? What do I think about Windows 11? Wow, interesting question. I don't know, I've been doing a little bit of research about it. One thing I did read recently was that like 75% of computers are not compatible with Windows 11. And they won't even like let you install it without a warning saying, we don't recommend that you install Windows 11. And that's like the first time they've ever had an operating system where they've just sort of like built it for very elite amount of hardware. It's not that you can't install Windows 11 to it, but it's a very new stage where they're just like ruthless about making sure everybody's got a hardware upgrade. And there's a whole conspiracy theory behind all that. But I don't know, I don't really get it. I don't really know if I have any reason or desire to upgrade. But at the same time, I'll probably be upgrading because I'll find myself in a situation where I have to. So, just like every other version of Windows, you're just like, well, I better do it. I can't stop working. But I'm not really anxious to get into it because I don't think there's anything that's... In fact, there wasn't a... I think I read too much tech news. There was another article I was reading where if you go into the console command of Windows 11, it literally says Windows 10. Like it's still version 10. Version 10 point something or other. It's not even version 11. Like they haven't even changed the version number to match the name. It's just bizarre. Dave, he's probably got a thought here. You'll really upgrade? Question mark. How long did it take you to install the hard drive? Oh man. Oh, hey, you know how that my whole computer was dying on the open session? So my hard drive died. That's what it was. It was that old hard drive that I, saying, oh, it's gonna die, and then I was like, oh, it's still alive, so I plugged it back in and kept it going, and then it died. So now I have disabled it. I think I'm gonna officially claim it as dead, because it was killing my computer. So once I managed to get that disabled, everything started working again. I didn't have all that problem. So hopefully that's why my stream's running a lot better today. Not having all those crazy problems. It had nothing to do with Zoom, I guess. It was just my hard drive. Decided to give up the ghost at that moment. It says, yeah, not surprising. That's why I was getting you to check the hard drive stats. Yeah, it's true. You were trying to identify which one it was. And it was that one hard drive you saw that was running like full on. I thought that was my C drive, but that wasn't. It was just my... I realized later that that's my old hard drive. And if I had caught onto it during the session, I would have been like, it's that hard drive. But I didn't think about it. I thought it was my C drive, and I'm like, no way my C drive's dying right now. I'm gonna have to make I have to get this guy to come into my to my stream here. Dave says, glad you got it figured out then. Yeah, me too. I had to get it figured out before my Q&A, which was like an hour later. So I did manage to find a solution fast enough that I got it working. I'm gonna get rid of some of these. That's weird. Sean says, likewise, most likely everyone will have to upgrade to Windows 11, especially when you start upgrading hardware. They'll probably block modern CPU being compatible with Windows 10 like they did with Windows 7. Yeah. I don't know, I hope they have a good reason behind it all, that's all I can say. Like, I hope it's not just sort of like, we aren't making enough money selling CPUs, so we're going to make an operating system that forces you to buy new hardware, which wouldn't really surprise me, but at the same time be disappointing. But if it's because I know that sometimes there's like this malware that can come in through your cell cycle, your CPU cycles or something, and there might be some sort of hardware backdoor for viruses or something that says Windows 10 is a disaster. That maybe they're trying to avoid and they're forcing people to move ahead and get away from that old hardware, then okay, well that's at least a fair argument. But I don't know if I never read anything like that so far. And it says, also don't worry, I watch so many tech news on a daily. Just have Gamers Nexus in the background 90% of the time. Gamers Nexus. Wow, I feel like I know exactly what you're talking about. I just don't know if that's the one I think it is. Yes, Gamers Nexus. That is the one I used. I used to watch this all the time too. He's awesome. He's always got like great overclocking things and stuff. Especially when I was buying my new CPU, my new computer, I was like very much involved in terms of what his opinions were, and that was right when RTX was coming out and they're reviewing RTX video cards and how important it was. And I was like, oh, these are awesome. But then I stopped watching it after a while because he just keeps talking about the same thing over and over again. And I'm like, well, I don't really need to research computers anymore. I've already bought mine now. So, moved on. Till my next time I have to buy hardware. So what I'm going to do is open up the cinematic that has the backdrop, which is this one. We're going to go, and inside of here, we're going to drag in our creature into here so he becomes one of the tracks. So I'll grab the creature control rig, bring him in there. Why does he not look like he's in there yet? That didn't work. Is that one of the things? How do I can't do this? It has to be in the environment, doesn't it? Can't be a spawnable item. Alright, I'm gonna drag him in here on top of the chair. He goes into this other sequencer, which is not where I want him, but he does exist in our map, so so I'm gonna go back to it manually, and then I'm gonna find the creature. That's not it. What is that? It's called CI Skeletal Mesh Actor. Alright, whatever. And we're going to drag that into our sequence. There we go. Now it works. Because it's a... well, it says convert to spawnable. So it's a possessable because it has a little electricity bolt on it. But if it did, then it would be called a spawnable. Which means it would only appear when the cinematic starts. But for whatever reason, control rigs have to be done as possessables. I think I found that out the other day. Let's see if I can get past this black screen of doom. Why do we have a black screen of doom right now? I always forget this part. Sean says, yep, now every now and then when you get that new piece of info, apart from that, it's most of the same. Check your fate. I know, you're right. That is what I'm supposed to check. And that's an events track. Am I in the right sequencer or what's going on here? Why can't I... This is an events track, not a fade track. I don't even have a fade track in this one. So what's going on here? Did I just switch my map or something, or what? See, I got nothing on anything. What is happening? I am about to do a restart, because that usually fixes things, right? That was weird. Hopefully it's a more like that is weird. Or no, sorry, that is not like, hey, there we go. Alright, let's see if I can get back to where I was before. So I hopefully opened the right map. And then I just have to open up sequence backdrop. There we go, now it's working fine. Oh, there you go, lesson learned. Just reopen the editor and things are weird. Alright, so I'm gonna bring this guy over here and scale him up to a full size, proper size. Or what we could do is make him into this little ant-sized character, and it's got this giant shadow, which is just like that Disney thing. I don't know, maybe let's see if I can find it. There was a little Disney video that was actually really cute little trailer. It's not even a trailer, it's like a short made by interns at, I think it's, yeah, it was Disney. And it's just so short, and you're like, oh, that's so smart. It's always impressive when there's like a clever little idea being created. I put it into the animation reference. I'm noticing we've got another post in here I'm gonna have to take a look at. And oh, sorry, how about I pick the right channel here? Animation reference. Oh, there's one that talks about how to do better references. This is actually kind of cool. It talks about, you know, doing your acting performance better when you're getting reference, which is a big challenge when you're doing animations. But anyway, here's our little Disney animation thing. It's a cute little video. Sean says Control Shift S Cross fingers, starts program again. That's cute. And so is it Lucas the spider? Yes. I mean, I think so. Wait, I don't know what this is. Oh, Junebug. No, it's called Junebug. That's the name. There it is. See? That's what I'm talking about. Giant window shadow. So cute. And that's it. That's all it does. That was the end of the whole thing. And I'm like, oh, that's so smart. It's like, it's kind of like, it's got the story element, but it doesn't have a lot of challenge to it. And I mean, it doesn't have to say much, but meanwhile it leaves you kind of like at a state where you're like, oh, I'd really like to know more about that. And it was an intern project. It's just kind of a nice refreshing thought of like, you know, if you do a short film, it doesn't have to be this like 12-minute long epic thing. It just has to just start a concept, build up pathos for your character, and then give you something that people can relate to, and does actually end up being really powerful. But I honestly don't see that very often. That was like the first time I've seen something that was so short and sweet, and yet still had such a powerful, clean message in it. Felt complete at the end of it. Not that easy at all. Okay, so this is our creature. We're going to scale it up. I don't know if we can sort of lock that in there. Make it 10 times bigger. Yeah, that seems about right. He probably was 10 times scaled too small. That might have actually been a setting in Maya that was comes with these character rigs I forget about. Forget where that well, I thought it was like the bottom setting or something, the world scale or something. But anyway. Global scale. No, that's something else. Yeah, that's weird. Anyways, whatever. Alright. Took a long time to get this character to be in here. Let's see if these shadows will actually work. Sean, missed opportunity to name it A Bug's Life, The Reckoning. I think Pixar owns that copyright. Not sure if Disney can just take from Pixar like that. Even if they're part of the same company. Funny though. The Reckoning. It's like a Jurassic Park, but Bug's Life. I bet you someone's made that joke before already. That was brilliant. Now they're back, bigger and meaner. There you go. You were already saying it. That's looking pretty good. Let's see here. Let's hit G. Oh, you're definitely seeing a shadow in there. You're getting some of those cross shadows too. Whoa, he just came right into the room. Whoa, he's a lot creepier looking now. It's pretty awesome. Yeah, that's pretty cool, eh? It's got this creepy looking thing going on. Especially if he's a lot bigger. Make him a lot taller. Oh man, that is good. It's very creepy. Sweet. Sean says, oh yeah, gosh, sometimes I forget that Pixar and Disney animations are different studios. Kind of blurred now. Yeah, it's tough to tell. Yeah, this is cool. Now I gotta do some posing. Give it a little bit of life so it doesn't look like, you know, a mannequin. Kind of reminding me of Home Alone. Not that Home Alone is supposed to be super creepy. Okay, so we're gonna do a pose. Let's get some posing going on here. Okay, so we're gonna need the control rig to be visible. So I need to open up animation. And what else do I gotta do? Oh wait, this isn't a control rig character. Let's see here. FK control rig. That it? Doesn't feel right. There it is. I have to turn on the type of interaction. I'm doing it sort of in a manual way. If you drag the control rig right into your viewport, it builds all this stuff for you, but because I've done it where I've dragged it from the world to my sequencer, I seem to have to be a little more manual with how I set it up. It's kind of a shame, because you don't want it to be complicated if you don't have to. Anyways, we got what we needed, hopefully. We'll see if we can get this to work here. Alright, let's switch this to local. See if we can get some poses here. I think we're gonna leave the auto key off for a minute here while I figure out what the better walk cycle pose I want is. And probably want minimal rather than like a full-fledged walk cycle. Let's go for like simplified sort of thing. I think I should put on auto key now that I think about it. I don't want to have to do this all over again by accident. See if we can get him to look over in the window more. This is where I would need some handy dandy walk cycle backward solve to give myself some sort of establishing point to work with here. Time I have. Oh man, I don't have a lot of time. 10 minutes. Okay. So we're gonna establish this as our keyframe here. Not sure why that arm has gone out of socket. That's always a good sign. You go here. What are you doing here? Stay there. Okay, what else we got here? We got our head looking over there. Alright, we want to make sure that the body goes across the frame. So let's see the timeline here. Wait for a bit. And then we'll move on the Z. It would be kind of cool if he like walked and just stood there for a while, breathing, and then moved on again. But I only got 10 minutes, so I don't know. It would be nice if I could do that, but I don't know if I have the time to make that cell. Oh, Z is not the right axis. When is it? Y? There we go. The off shot, and then it comes on the shot. Usually it comes closer to the window. It'd be kind of fun. Oh, too fast. Back him up a little bit here. Should do the rotation, I guess, with the... See, the question is, do I use the control rig to rotate it, or do I use the base movement of the character to rotate it? I actually don't... I kind of started to think I shouldn't mix the two. I should keep it one or the other. So we'll just kind of hold it for a while he's breathing. And then mix it to the left, so it looks like he's actually going to go somewhere afterwards. Like to the door. Super creepy though. Like, I'm creeped out just thinking how creepy that would be. I think we gotta have a longer timeline to make this actually sell. This is the problem with these kits, is that, like last year, it was like, well, it's pretty creepy the first time, but when you see it the second time, it ruins everything. Like, the whole mood is lost, because you're like, well, wait, he's just doing the same thing over and over again. So then you gotta do this whole, like, randomizing, and then trying to figure out how to have variations so that you don't see the same thing over again. It's just part of the challenge. Something's a little bit not right here because they are not. How do I make it flat? Oh, there we go. Okay, so he's sort of translating. I could even like change it a little bit based on how I'm dealing with the control rig. I mean, you can make him move faster or slower depending on what's creepier. Sometimes fast is creepy. You do it right. Performance is key though, for sure. But I'm hoping that in my current state that you can work with minimal posing to make it look alive. And I mean, like even in this case, I'd be doing a breathing cycle a few times inside of this loop, inside of this section here. There's a possibility I can make another sequencer file with this character that I have a breathing loop. And instead of doing the animation in this timeline, I'm doing like cycles that I'm exporting and then bringing them into this one as a master. So I'm blending animation cycles together instead of doing one full sequence. I don't know. I'm not sure what the right answer is, but because it's pretty straightforward, and I think having a bit of unique movements as you're doing your thing probably would pay off if I had, you know, a lot of time to make this work as a straight ahead animation all the way through. So maybe what I'll try to do is establish some base keys here. so I don't have to keep refreshing what I'm doing here. So there's our 2 keys here, and there's our 4th key there. So I'm going to take all the control rig keys, and it looks like we're going from, let's see what the time looks like here on this. Alright, we're going to start putting down some keys. And then I can just delete them after, if I don't need them. But alright, work like that. So first one, look, the arm's all messed up again. That's awesome. Also not able to pick the control rig. Oh, look, I can pick it now. What? I just about to give up, and then all of a sudden I was able to pick it. That was weird. Oh, and look, he's gone back to his T-pose, so it didn't listen to any of those adjustments that I did. That was kind of what I was worried about. See, the keys are here, but then they're lost here, so... What does that mean? What did I do? I feel like I'm in a slightly incorrect state for all of my keys and everything. See if I can find a shoulder right. Yeah, so that was what I was going for. Yeah. I'm looking for like a happy, frantic waving while he's walking across. Yep, that's pretty scary. That's what I'm looking for. Oh man, I got 3 minutes left, and I can't figure out how to stop it from acting really weird. Look at this. I built all these crazy keys right here. I thought I established sort of a nice default, and now it's just gone nutsoid on me here. As soon as I touch the rotations, they go out of sync, out of whack. It's like they're all set up for extreme gimbal lock. Oh, there we go. I managed to find the position again. So that's some pretty scary hand waving. No, he's waving hello! Oh my goodness! I can't take this scariness. Look at how crazy this has gotten. Ah, man. Alright, we're gonna have to kill these keys. I don't know what's going on, but we're definitely getting some serious differences. Got 2 minutes left. Sean says, run! The creature's being polite. It's horrible. He just wanted to say hi. I'm gonna take these positioning kit and see if we can get at least non-craziness. See where we're at. Oh man, it's still going crazy and I've deleted all the keys. Wow. That's disappointing. Let me try opening it and see if it still does it. If it does, then I know that we have a problem. And it might even come back down to I just brought the character in wrong and we need to come in and figure it in a different way, because clearly this is a distortedly terrible way to bring in a character. He's way too cheerful and helpful for human consumption. Yeah, no, he's he's winding up to pitch a baseball, I'm pretty sure. Oh well. I think it's too bad because I've got to redo some of my transforms and stuff. I mean, in theory, we do have something that does kind of work as a scariness. It obviously looks like the character is just totally stiff and T-posed, but it kind of works. It's the right idea. We got to get the control rig working. It means I'm going to have to delete this control rig, bring it in fresh, a lot cleaner, do some tests first before I get too deep into positioning him again, and then really figure that out. I know that the pipeline works. We can animate this character. It's just, I know also that you can do this really wrong. And the fact that I had to add the control rig by using the add track was a big warning sign that I was doing something a bit unusual. So that's, I think, where the suspect is. Anyways, I gotta wrap it up. But I think we made some pretty good progress. It was kind of fun doing all the learning that we did today, and definitely have some potential for what we can do next week. I'll see if I can figure out that issue at least. And then we gotta come up with some other fun things we want to do for that make this scene a little scary, because we can't just have one trick. You gotta have lots of tricks so people are not expecting what the next one is. And we got a little more time before Halloween comes up. So anyways, thanks everybody for hanging out in the stream. Appreciate it. It's always been fun. And I will see you guys again next week. All right, take care everybody.